What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I am doing a deck analysis on Ninetales GX, Zoroark GX. I really like this deck. It seems like the community really likes it. A few good players have put out some lists that they won cups with or placed high at cups with. I've really liked Ninetales GX since it came out, and Zoroark GX is an obviously strong card that everyone is fully aware of. We know it's going to be in a lot of decks. We're not sure which it will be best in. Maybe it'll be great in a lot of decks. But let's go into this deck analysis. So I'm going to do this one a little differently. I want to pick this deck apart and explain why it's good, or at least why I believe it's good. This deck plays to my playstyle a lot. I come from playing chess since I was around 6 or 7, so I really enjoy decks that allow me to plan ahead and look forward into the game. I really liked Evil Tall Garb in that way, when Evil Tall Garb was a good deck. I felt like Espeon Garb allowed for that in the pre-Intercontinentals format, and possibly, I'm sorry, the pre-Worlds format. So for Intercontinentals, I think that Espeon Garbodor was a really skill-based deck that you could plan ahead with, and I really like that out of Ninetales GX. So, oftentimes we'll see archetypes based around one really good card, like Gardevoir GX decks or Metagross GX decks, where your your card that you're looking to use for most of the game is just one card because it's naturally powerful on its own, and you use some support around it. Other times we'll see an archetype based around two cards that are both really good but don't have direct synergy with each other. Kind of like, let's take this one good card and this one good card and make an X and Y deck. So like Drampa Garb or Evil Tall Garb, where they don't have direct synergy with each other. Where Drampa Garb works because Drampa has early game power if you can make Berserk hit for its big number, and Garbodor has late game power if your opponent has items in their discard, which they usually will. But there's no automatic synergy that you see between those two cards reading them. Like, you don't look at Drampa and you don't look at Garbodor like, oh, Drampa sets up Garbodor perfectly, like you would see in, say, Tapu Koko and Espeon EX, where you spread damage and then devolve. Drampa Garb has a more indirect synergy where it's because of early game and late game power. And then there's Evil Tall Garb, another example where Evil Tall is a heavy hitter. It can recycle energy by moving it to the bench with Y Cyclone. For those of you who do not know and you're new to the game, Evil Tall Garb was really good last season. It just hit Evil Ball 20 plus 20 more for every damage on your Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. So Evil Tall was just a good heavy hitter, basic EX for not a lot of energy, and then Garbodor turned off powers. So there was nothing looking at those two cards saying, oh wow, Garbodor is so much better if Evil Tall's your attacker, or vice versa. If Garbodor's on the bench, Evil Tall does more damage. It was nothing direct like that. It was just indirect synergy that made this deck a really good archetype. And so my favorite is when we have something like Ninetales Zoroark. We have an archetype around two really good cards that, in a vacuum, if you isolate the two and look at them objectively, subjectively, however you like, Zoroark GX is just plain and simple a good card. It has a great ability, it has good HP. Its weakness isn't extremely relevant. It might be with Crimson Invasion coming out. And it also has a good GX attack that you can't use in this deck, but you can use in other decks. So all around a great card, and it's a stage 1. And then you look at Ninetales GX. It has 3 really great attacks. It has high HP, low retreat cost, a not extremely relevant weakness. It has an amazing basic version of a Alolan Vulpix, because that's even used in non-Ninetales decks, so that's a really good Pokemon. And it has a non-EXGX version of itself that's fairly good. So Ninetales has a lot going for it, and so does Zoroark. So we can put these two cards together because they're both good cards, but also we have synergy. And now that's where we're going to get into this deck. So the synergy is because of Zoroark's trade ability and Aqua Patch being a tool for water Pokemon. So let's keep that in mind, the trade and the aqua patch and the water energy and the discarding energy. Let's keep all that in mind as we're going forward. So I'm going to skip by Vulpix because if you don't know what that does, you can just here, I'll just bring it up real quick. Beacon, search for two Pokemon. That's well, that won't be too important right now. So let's look at Alolan Ninetales GX. So this is one of the most versatile cards in the game. I just love it. Like I said, I really like games where there's skill based, a lot of decisions. I like decks where there's a lot of decisions to make, where you can plan ahead, where your opponent might not understand some of your moves, but then 3 turns later they're like, oh, I see why you did that, because putting 50 damage there set up this really important kill later on. So, Alolan Ninetales GX, a stage 1 with 210 HP, very good HP for stage 1. Ice Blade, for a double colorless or 2 water, this attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, historically, we have had cards in the game that sniped for whatever amount of damage that would just be put into other decks as techs, because your main attacker might not finish the kill, and then you have to snipe on the bench later in the game. Ninetales GX has something really great here, where it has a built-in snipe slash damage spread if you want to use Ice Blade turn after turn to spread the damage, or if you just missed a kill without a choice band or they had too much HP for a Blizzard Edge to kill it, you can clean it up with an Ice Blade. So this is really, really a great tool, and it's just Ninetales' first out of 3 attacks, but it's one of the things that make it so versatile. Next is Blizzard Edge, for 2 water and a colorless, 160, and discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. With a choice band, you are hitting 190, which has become an extremely relevant number. Turtonator is weak to Alolan Ninetales, so his 190 HP does not matter, but Ho-Oh is 190 HP, and it's not weak to water. Buzzwole, which is coming out in Crimson Invasion in a few days, is 190 HP, and then a lot of other GXs are under 190 HP, so you don't have to worry about, excuse me, most basic GX, I think all basic GX without a tool attached are 190 HP or less. So you can knock out any basic EX GX with Blizzard Edge. You can knock out, you can't knock out any stage 1 GX or EX with Blizzard Edge alone, but you can with a Flying Flip added, with a Kukui added, with previous Ice Blade damage, Ice Blading a turn later. So you can knock out all EX GX basics with Blizzard Edge, and you can knock out some stage 1s and stage 2s with pre-existing damage or clean them up later. But Blizzard Edge is also really good because you discard 2 energy, and if you're playing against Gardevoir, which is a very popular deck, and a very strong deck, you have 2 less energy on your Pokemon now, so Gardevoir will really have to ramp up to kill it if it had no damage prior and you discard down to 1 energy. Something really nice is that it doesn't say it has to be basic energy that you discard for Blizzard Edge. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be basic energy you discard, so if you have 2 water and a DCE, you can discard a DCE for Blizzard Edge. Let's say you get the knockout and your opponent can't recover. You just attach another DCE next turn and discard that DCE for your 2 energies that have to be discarded. So you can keep on cycling through Blizzard Edge. Cycling Blizzard Edge is much more realistic than it might seem, with that discarding 2 energy in a combination of using DCE to discard and using Aqua Patch and retreating to a new Alolan Ninetales GX. So, sorry I'm spending a lot of time on each card, but I want to make this a really, really in-depth analysis and explain exactly why this deck works the way it does. Ice Path GX. So here we have its 3rd attack. All attacks are really different. Its first attack places 50 damage wherever you like. Its second attack is a clean hit of 160 or 190 with a choice band, or 210 with a Kukui. And then its 3rd attack, Ice Path GX, is yet again very different from the first 2. So for 2 water or a DCE, move all damage counters from this Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is his GX attack for the game. Now this is very similar to, or it will seem similar for players that played Mega Mewtwo EX or played against Mega Mewtwo EX when that was a good deck. Last season, possibly the season before, where it had damage change. You switched the damage between your active Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. But this is so much stronger because your opponent's active Pokemon is keeping the damage on them, and you're healing yourself and moving all of that damage from your Alolan Ninetales over to them, and you're not taking their damage. So you just take, let's say your Alolan Ninetales got hit for 200 damage. You can move your you can with Ice Path GX move all of that damage over to the active Pokemon, the defending Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon. So you're healing Alolan Ninetales GX and you're damaging your opponent. It's really, really great when you use this for a knockout. Earlier today, I was playing against Drampa Garb on PTCGO, and their Drampa hit me for a Righteous Edge 50, and then a Garbodor came up and hit me for a Trash Lance that was not quite a knockout, and then I Guzma'd up a Drampa, and I moved my 200 damage from Alolan Ninetales GX over to their Drampa GX, knocking it out and completely healing my Alolan Ninetales, securing me the game. It's so good. It's just really, really great. A hard thing about it is knowing when the right time to use it is. If the heal is important, if the damage you're going to put on the defending Pokemon is important, if you're going to have more damage later, if this is the only chance you'll get to use it. So it's like I said, this deck is skill-based, knowing which attack to use, but that's the reason I like it so much. You have a lot of choices. You have a lot of attacks at your disposal. Real quick, we'll look at the other Ninetales. Aurora Beam does 80 for a water and a DCE, but that's not what we're looking at here. We're looking at its Luminous Barrier. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage, done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX. So if you realize that your opponent has no non-GX, non-EX basic attackers, or it's going to be hard for them to get it out, you can just wall with this Alolan Ninetales, hitting them for 80 every turn, and them not being able to retaliate and hit back on your Alolan Ninetales because they don't have a non-GX, non-EX attacker. This is not always useful. I find myself just discarding it most games, but there are those games where it comes in handy, where your opponent prized their Gallade, or you knocked it out, or they don't have a non-GX, non-EX attacker, and you can just win with this Pokemon. So, we talked about Ninetales a lot. Now let's talk about its new partner, Zoroark GX. So Zoroark GX, 210 HP, Stage 1, really great. Ability Trade. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand if you do draw 2 cards. So you have draw power here. So this is kind of replacing Octillery as your draw power because you're also discarding a card. You discard a card, that is really good in this deck because we have Aqua Patch for water Pokemon, which is an item card that attaches a water energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench water Pokemon. So we can discard a water energy with trade, draw 2, use Aqua Patch to an Alolan Ninetales. Maybe we can Ultra Ball water energy away as well, and then Aqua Patch that. Maybe something got knocked out. But either way, this ability trade is so good because you're drawing 2 cards, and that's good enough. But in Alolan Ninetales, the discard is also it's also positive for you. In some other decks, you're probably running this in other decks just for its draw 2 cards, and the discard a card is something you have to pay. But in Alolan Ninetales, the discard can also prove useful. So that's really, really good that you can take advantage of that. And that is where this synergy comes in, where Alolan Ninetales GX is a great attacker. Zoroark GX can help you consistently get those Aqua Patches when you need them. Also, Zoroark GX gets you 2 cards. You draw 2 cards. It has high HP, and it has a pretty good attack. Riotous Beating, 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. So it can do 120, 150 with a Choice Band, 170 with a Kukui. Maybe you have some Flying Flip damage down. So this is another really good backup attacker. 210 HP. It one-shots Trashalanche Garbodor, which is really important. Yeah, so Zoroark GX, really, really strong card. Trickster GX is a good attack, but we're not using that in this deck because we don't run Rainbow or Dark Energy. It's all about the water here. So we looked at the 2 main cards of the deck. Let's go over to our techs, which are 2 Tapu... Oh, I just removed the Tapu Koko from the deck. Sorry, guys. I do that like once a video. So we have two Tapu Koko. Let's just put this back. There we go. We have two Tapu Koko promo, Flying Flip. Let's look at this. For a DCE, this attack does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Really, really great. It synergizes with Ice Blade. This card is even good in decks that don't have sniping and damage spread abilities just to soften up Pokemon. It makes it even better because Arlo and Ninetales can do 50 wherever it wants for a DCE. So this softens up Pokemon for both Ice Blade and for Blizzard Edge, possibly for Zoroark GX's Riotous Beating. Really great card for the first few turns to start spreading damage while you set up your Pokemon. If your opponent can't deal with this for 2 or 3 turns and they're setting up and you're just putting 20, 40, 60 damage on all of your opponent's Pokemon, you're really poised to win that game. It also has free retreat, which is really nice. And that I thought about switching to Latios, but I really, really want this free retreat, so I'm not going to switch to Latios just yet. Now let's look at Espeon EX, which is our other tech, which goes really well with Flying Flip Coco and also with Ninetales. So Miraculous Shine, devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon and put the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. I'm sure you've seen this card around. It's been getting a lot of play because of how evolution-based this format is. Ninetales has synergy with this, Coco has synergy with it. Zoroark GX's underwhelming attack even has synergy with it, because if you don't finish the kill with Riotous Beating, let's say you hit a Gardevoir for 100, you hit another Gardevoir for 100, you can Miraculous Shine them both down to Curly or Ralts, and you take your prizes, you get rid of those Guardies. But more importantly, you can Flying Flip for a few turns, Ice Blade a couple times, and then Miraculous Shine and take multiple prize cards. So that's really great. Espeon is just a really great card. There I go, removing a Coco again by accident. Oh, there go both Cocos. I'm a mess. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I really, really like sniping and damage spread mechanics, and it's really strong in the game right now, so I'm going to use it as much as I can. Next, we just have two Lele as our support. We're running 2 here because Zoroark GX is also Zoroark GX is also a draw power. It doesn't search like Lele does, but it is draw power. I'd like to note that this list, I did build this list a few weeks ago, or I built this list whenever Zoroark GX became, whenever you could start scanning codes for Shining Legend on PTCGO, I built this. And Jose Marrero posted his list. I looked at it. I took out my third Lele for a second Field Blower, but other than that, I haven't changed. Actually, no. I changed my 2 Acerola to 2 Kukui to try that out, and I've been liking it. And I dropped a third Lele for a second Field Blower. So I'm going to credit the bulk of this list to Jose Marrero, and I think Brad Curcio posted that he did well with it too, but I think he used Jose's exact list. So yeah, Jose Marrero from ARG, excuse me, I believe he's on the ARG team. He posted the list that influenced some of the changes I made to this list. So thanks for sharing that, Jose. Yeah, so the trainers and items and whatnot are all pretty standard for this. We got 4 Aqua Patch. Like I said, 2 Field Blower because it's really nice to get rid of a Fighting Fury Belt, and it's also really important to use Trade when you need it. So Field Blowers are really good. Excuse me. I think Kukui's going to be seeing a lot more play than it has been, just because Riotous Beating is an underwhelming attack, but once you add it with Kukui, it does a bit more damage. Also, 2 cards wasn't that great with Kukui, but now you can draw 2 cards with Kukui and then discard and draw another 2 cards with Trade. So Kukui is finding its place in the game right now. I'm playing 2 Floatstone, and I believe the lists that I've seen haven't been playing 2 Floatstone. I might be mistaken, but I looked over a few and they weren't. So some people might be playing Floatstone, some people might not be. I really like it right now, but I feel like right now it's just I'm playing it to be safe because I don't want a Zoroark to get stuck out there and I don't have a Guzma or a DCE. I don't want, I like to play it safe when I'm first starting testing the decks. I dropped the Bridget down to 1, which I really like to have 2 Bridget in best of 1 play. But yeah, the Floatstones might get cut for a 4th Guzma and something else. But for now, I'm keeping them and testing them and see how I like it. It's also really important to be able to retreat since Aqua Patch has to go to the bench. So sometimes you need to retreat your Ninetales, Aqua Patch to it, Guzma, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not going to go over the supporters and trainers like I said too much. Everything there's standard. You could just screenshot this list. You can go to Hey Fonte and search for Jose Moreira's list. I just wanted to give a more in-depth analysis than what I've been seeing on why this deck works the way it does. So, just to recap, Alolan Ninetales is a really versatile card. Zoroark GX has draw power and a good attack. Zoroark GX's draw power has a drawback, which is discarding a card, but in this deck you can use that to your advantage. So, it's it's like you're drawing 2 cards plus something else. But in this deck, you get to discard a water energy sometimes, and you'll draw 2 cards. So you're getting 2 positives out of an ability that's usually a small negative with a positive. So taking advantage of Zoroark GX's trade and turning it into more of a positive than it would be in another deck is really, really great. And that's where the synergy comes with Ninetales and Zoroark and Aqua Patch. And then we have Coco and Espeon, the Devolve package, as people have been calling it, for the Stage 2 decks that might be a little harder to knock out. I'm just really happy to see Ninetales GX hopefully breaking into Tier 1 with its new partner, Zoroark. I think Zoroark is also really, really strong with Lycanroc GX, and I've posted the deck profile and battles with that, so you can go check that out. And I am working on that list and updating it pretty much every day. I really like Zoroark Lycanroc. I think it's a lot of fun to play. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. You can follow me on Twitter to keep updated with when I'll be posting more videos. You can tell me what decks you want me to analyze or play with. In a few days when Crimson Invasion hits PTCGO, I'm probably going to be playing Buzzwole decks because, like I said, I really like damage spread decks. I'm excited about Buzzwole Garb. I'm excited to try Nihilego GX and some things. Silvally, I don't know. I might be playing some Silvally. I'll definitely be playing Silvally, but I'm not sure if I like it yet. But we'll find out when Crimson Invasion hits PTCGO. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe and comment and like if you enjoyed what you saw, and have a good day.